Welcome to the last video of the vegetation remote sensing video series. My name is Marta Yebra, and in this video I'm going to show you some applications of remote sensing for fire management, more specifically to assess the vegetation damage. The vegetation damage assessment can be done short term, where where quick evaluation of fire effects are assessed. And we look at the things like burn and unburned areas, fire perimeters, vegetation species affected by the fire, and this is useful to update strategic planning with respect to fire suppression resource, and also to evaluate the functioning of fire risk indices. But an evaluation of the damage in the long term provides a more detailed analysis of the effects of fire on vegetation and soil. And this is what is called burn severity estimation. The outputs, remote sensing outputs for this assessment can be, for example, burn severity maps using the composite burn index that I will explain later on, potential soil erosion, potential vegetation regeneration. These maps assist forest managers in allocating resources for restoration efforts, and also to predict the short and long-term effects of fire on ecosystems. In this video, I'm going to mainly focus in the long-term effects, so I will be presenting an example of burn severity estimation using remote sensing data. So how do we assess burn severity on the field? That's the very first thing we need to understand before going to remote sensing data. Well, there are several methods, but the most commonly used is the composite burn index. This is a semi-quantitative index that look at the average conditions in plant communities within a 30 meters diameter plot. So a CBI of 0 represents an unburned ISEC, while a CBI of 3 represents a completely burned plot. Here you can see an example of the field set that it is used to assess the burn severity of a plot, and the variables that are assessed are things like the litter and fuel consumption, the change in soil color, the foliage alteration, the canopy mortality, the chart height, and a modification of the CBI by the scientist Sanchulieco. Also included in this field assessment the change in cover and leaf area index, and they renamed this index as a GeoCBI. They did this to make this index more sensitive to remote sensing data. These are some examples of 3 different plots with these different levels of CBI. On your left you have a completely burned plot with the highest value of CBI. In the middle, an intermediate plot where you can see that there's still some grain in the canopy, but all the understory is being completely burned. Well, it's being scorched, completely scorched. And on your right you have a low severity plot. So as for many other applications, the main aspect, the main key point to be able to detect different levels of CBI with remote sensing data is that these different levels present different spectrum response. So fire severity as the vegetation moisture content that I presented in the previous video can be estimated using traditional empirical methods where remote sensing is statistically compared to field observation, or it can be also estimated using radiative transfer model inversion techniques. For this later, Tubieco and collaborators used a well-known radiative transfer model that is called CUST model, that estimates the reflectance of a forest that can be divided in three layers: the soil, the intermediate strata or the understory strata, and the canopy strata. So this model was used to simulate different levels of TBI. How did this researcher did do this? Well, they use a linear mixing between bare soil and charcoal in different proportions to simulate the different burn severity of the soil strata. And then for the canopy and the intermediate fuel, they alter the leaves in different levels of moisture content, and also they change the leaf area index proportion in the trees to simulate also different levels of burn. So with these simulation scenarios, they run different simulations with their course relative transfer model to simulate it a lookup table. This is a table with different simulated spectra for different levels of CBR. And these are an example of the spectra. Finally, the relative transfer model were inverted. So this consists in finding the best matching between an unknown spectrum from a satellite image and a list of spectra that we previously derived from relative transfer model forward simulation. So this is done using many different similarity functions. And once the more similar spectra is found, the corresponding CBI value is the final solution to the inversion process. Doing this over all the pixels of the image, you can get a map of burn severity. As you can see in this example, that corresponds to a fire that occurred in Spain a few years ago. You can see that you can get quite detail, a lot of detail about the different levels of severity. For example, here you see how there are some stripes of high severity, lower severity between high severity areas, and this, for you to have an idea, corresponds to the reality, as you can see in this picture. So, for example, one of the applications of these burn severity maps would be to be integrated with other information in a GIS, for example, information about the slope and the aspect, to predict the potential of soil erosion. So with this, I finalized the vegetation remote sensing series videos. I think you enjoyed and learned, and I'm looking forward to meet you in the classroom. Thanks.